Hello everyone and welcome to this GK class for CMAT 2021. So any of the MBA exam that you are writing after your CAT, let it be IFT or let it be your CMAT or any other exam like this class should help you with your GK content. Okay, so what kind of a GK do you expect in such exam? The GK are of two types, as you can always see. It is static and dynamic. Static is something that has happened in the past. You and I cannot change it. So what is a domain from where they derive the static GK? History, geography, politics, economics, science and technology, environment and ecology. So again, history, if you can see what kind of a static GK can you expect from history? History is divided into three parts: ancient history, medieval history, modern history. So anything from this could be part of your exam. This entire static GK will be covered in this YouTube classes that have been going on. So keep following these classes and you will come to know about everything that you need to memorize from static GK. After history, we come on to geography, which will have a lot of questions related to mountains, peaks, rivers, various minerals that are being found in various states and so on. So Indian geography, world geography are the few questions that are expected in this. Then we come on to politics, powers of president, prime minister, chief minister, various political organization, election commission of India. All these things will be covered here. Basics of economics, repo rate, reverse repo rate, GDP, GNP, okay, flow of economics, all these things will be covered here. So all this static part we will be covering in our YouTube live classes. Okay, so make sure you tune into this and watch all of the content that is required for your exam. Science and technology will include few of the satellites, orbits, satellites of ISRO, NASA, latest invention in technology, something that we expect in the exam. Okay, environment also we can pick up a lot of issues that have been going on, like a Paris Agreement. This is your static GK, something that has happened in the past. You and I cannot change it at all. Okay, we'll be doing this in YouTube classes. Then comes the dynamic part. So as you can see, all your paper, let it be CMAT or any other paper, the questions are always divided into static and dynamic, and you cannot tell whether you will get static more this year or dynamic more this year. You cannot be dependent on such cases. Okay, you may think you will get more of a static. What if you get dynamic? You may think you will get more of dynamic. What if you get static? So you cannot say that okay 50-50 will be there. You don't know it. It can be 80-20 as well. So you have to be prepared for everything. Dynamic GK includes current affairs of the last 7 to 8 months. So we are doing the class for this as well. This class which you will see right now is a current affairs of November 2020. Then we'll go back October 2020. Then we'll go back September and then so on. So for the previous 7 months, which includes December and January, we'll cover that as well once we get the news of that. All this current affairs will be given in your dynamic classes. Okay, and today you are seeing this first class which is giving you current affairs of November 2020. Okay, then we move on to October and then so on. The most important part here is how will we study this. So see, static GK is so vast, they cannot ask you anything from anywhere. They will not just ask you like say tell me the power of election commission of India. Not the kind of question that is expected. They ask you static GK from current affairs. They won't ask you anything from static GK. Something that is part of current affairs, from that static GK is being derived from current affairs. Let me tell you how. So say WPI is a part of current affairs. Now what is WPI? What are the contents of WPI? Is a static GK. Nitish Kumar becomes the chief minister of Bihar. That is current affairs. But what are the powers of chief minister? How is the chief minister appointed? Who appoints chief minister? All these are part of static GK that is being derived from current affairs. So it is not out of the blue that they asked you that is the chief minister appointed or is he elected. They asked you this question because Nitish Kumar becomes the chief minister of Bihar, and they are asking now the process of electing or appointing the chief minister. So current affairs from where the static GK is being derived. So you can expect like say question on repo rate. What is a repo rate? Why did they ask that question? Because the Reserve Bank of India just changed the repo rate. In science and technology, they are asking a question on Earth Observation Satellite 1. This is being launched by which vehicle? So Earth Observation Satellite 1 is being launched in November. Launched by which vehicle is again a part of static GK, where you need to know that there is a PSLV, there is a GSLV, and then so on. So always your static GK, how do you predict the right question that may be coming for static GK? You cannot memorize everything. There's such a vast static GK. You memorize only those things which are there in current affairs, and this is what I had helped you in a current affairs class. So in a current affairs class, you see, first I tell you the context. Why are we studying this news? Second, I tell you what is it like you are supposed to memorize for exam. So you are not writing the answer like UPSC. You have to just answer objective question. So how do you memorize? What do you need to take from this news? And what part of static GK can you expect from this current affairs news? So we are covering static GK in current affairs only. Of course, we are taking a separate class for static GK, but how do you derive the right static GK question is from the current affairs. Okay, that's what we'll be doing it here. So tune into all the current affairs classes and keep learning.
Start with the current affairs of November 2020. And the first news is about Hayabusa 2 spacecraft. This is a spacecraft of Japan, and this is nearing Earth after its year-long journey from asteroid Ryugu. So it went on in 2014 to study asteroid Ryugu, and now after its year-long journey along the asteroid Ryugu, after studying it, it is coming back to Earth. Who made this spacecraft? Japan. The operation is being held by JAXA, Japanese Aerospace Exploration Agency. So this is something that you are supposed to know about this news. Okay, as we study all the news, we'll first see the context of the news, then we'll see what is the static part and what is the dynamic part of this news. Okay, that is what you can expect in your exam because you get all the objective question. So who made this? What is the spacecraft doing? What is asteroid Ryugu? Okay, this is what you're supposed to know from this part of science and technology current affairs. We take our next news. India to build Shahtut Dam in Afghanistan. So this is our news now. Why is this news in November? Because Union Minister of External Affairs S. Jaishankar in Geneva Donors Conference announced that India is constructing the Shahtut Dam across the Maidan River, which is a tributary of River Kabul in Afghanistan. So remember, who is the Minister of External Affairs? What is Shahtut Dam? Where is this built? What is Maidan River? And Maidan River is a tributary of what river? Okay, Kabul River. So this is something you need to know in the background as a part of current affairs, something that could be asked to you in the exam in objective based question. Now to get the context of this, why is India doing this? The benefits of this project to Afghanistan, a lot. Irrigation facilities will be provided. There will be a supply of drinking water in Kabul. Underground water for drinking purposes, it will be a better recharge for them. This will contribute to food security, fisheries, crops, industries, will promote tourism and many things as a benefit to Afghanistan. What is benefit of this to India? So India has been committed to develop Afghanistan since 2002. So far India has contributed somewhere around $3 million for this reconstructing of Afghanistan. Okay, India did not invest in Afghanistan during the Taliban years, which was between 1996 to 2001. The United States of America has been pressuring India to deploy its army with its own army to bring peace to the country of Afghanistan. So as you have US army in Afghanistan, India is also being asked about their army to be in Afghanistan. However, India refuted US proposals. On the other hand, India focused on developing the country, mainly helping in its infrastructure. So you can see dams are being constructed, bridges are constructed, parliament is constructed, stadium is constructed, because India wants to help Afghanistan. And there is one more way of looking at this, because Afghanistan is the heart of Asia and India has constructed a port to enter into Afghanistan through Iran, Chabahar port, right? So if India reaches into Afghanistan, India will have the access to all the countries around Afghanistan, because Afghanistan is the heart of Asia. Okay, so this is something that is the interest of India as well in Afghanistan. So know this as a part of current affairs, what happened in November, and know this from background as well. Okay, why is India doing that? So anything in respect to India and Afghanistan will be asked, you will be able to better guess the answer for it. Now we come on to our next set of news from November 2020. Chinese dam projects on Brahmaputra are a threat to lives and livelihoods downstream. So what is this part of news now? China, it's constructing its dam on Brahmaputra river in Tibet. Now, what about Brahmaputra River? It's a 2880 kilometer long river, which is a perennial river, which means it is not dependent on monsoon. It gets its water from glacier melting, so it's a perennial river, which originates in Tibet, where it is known by a name of Yarlung Sangpo. So remember what is the name of Brahmaputra River. So you can get an objective question like which of this is a second name of Brahmaputra River, and your 4 option. And you also know now why are they asking you question on Brahmaputra River, because it is a part of current affairs. Okay, so it is just not like they had picked up the question randomly. There is a logic behind it. So that is what you can expect in the current affairs part. Now, what is actually this Brahmaputra River? Let's understand this. This diagram tells us everything. It flows eastward through southern Tibet for a distance of 1625 kilometer, and at its easternmost point it swings. Okay, so as you can see it here, if I can show it to you in the diagram, this is how the river will look like. Okay, so let's just see the diagram and understand this even better. So if I take this is how it originates here, Yarlung Sangpo, the southern part of Tibet. It comes here, then it takes a turn here. Okay, turn, and it enters into now Arunachal Pradesh, eastern state of Arunachal Pradesh, and then it is here. This is how your Brahmaputra is going. Okay, so understand the path of Brahmaputra as well, because they can ask you a question like through which state of India does Brahmaputra pass, and your 4 options are here. So that is also part of your dynamic GK. Next set of news which we take is about the annual bilateral exercises between the navies of India and any other country. So we talk about now SIMBEX, which is an annual naval bilateral exercise between India and Singapore. So just know the name of the exercise and between India and what other country is in it. Okay, so SIMBEX is in the 26th edition. It was introduced in 1993. Okay, it is between India and Singapore. Similarly, you remember SITMEX 20. It's a trilateral maritime exercise which is being conducted in Andaman Sea between India, Singapore and Thailand. Okay, so which of this is a maritime exercise conducted between India, Singapore and Thailand? So you need to know the name, SITMEX 20. Similarly, there are others like Suryakiran, Maitri, Sagarmata exercise, India's naval exercise with different countries. Just Google this and know each one of them, okay, because this will also be one of the questions that is expected in the exam. So we come on to the next news of November 2020, which is India staying out of RCEP deal. So this is the part of your current affairs that India has opted out to be not part of RCEP, that is Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Now what is the static GK part that they can ask from this, since this is part of news? What will they ask you? Which countries is part of RCEP? They will give you 4 options. Which of this country is part of RCEP? Not only that, they can ask you any of the question on this. So let us first understand what is actually this RCEP. This is a trade organization between these 15 countries, which are those: China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand and 10 other countries of ASEAN group. So you need to understand RCEP is not the only trade organization. There are other trade organization as well, which is APEC, TPP, ASEAN. So APEC is Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation, TPP is Trans-Pacific Partnership, ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nation. They can ask you anything. So which country is part of APEC, which country is part of TPP, which country is not part of ASEAN. So you need to know all the countries and which organization are they part of. Now they can also ask you a question like, what is like the purpose of this organization? Okay, not exactly such question, but that is for your context. Okay, why are this organization formed? So in case you are wondering why are this country is part of this and why are this organization formed, I want to make trade easy. So I am Japan, I manufacture automobile, and you are India, you manufacture steel. So I want to import steel from you and you want to import the finished product, that is the automobile, from me, that is Japan. So when I import steel from you, I will not ask you for any duty, I will not ask you for any tax, so that your steel is cheaper in my country, that is Japan. And when the automobile goes to your country, that is India, okay, you don't ask me for any tax, such that my car, the value of my car will be low, okay, because you are not asking for any duties. So if the product is imported from Japan to India. That is how each of this country mutually benefit from their trade. Okay, that's why this organization are being formed. So if you want to know which countries are part of ASEAN, there is a simple technique to memorize this. So if you go for ASEAN here, Association of Southeast Asian Nation, all the countries in Southeast. Okay, go to Southeast China, you will see all these countries, all the smaller countries: Indonesia, Thailand, Philippines, Cambodia, Laos, Myanmar, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, Brunei. Okay, all the small countries are part of this. That is your ASEAN. ASEAN along with these countries will form your RCEP. Okay, which India has not opted out of it. So there is a New Zealand, Japan, Australia, Korea and China. That will be the part. India is not part of RCEP, so you need to know that. Then there is one more such organization which is called as TPP, Trans-Pacific Partnership. As the name says, Trans-Pacific Partnership. So all the countries in the Pacific Ocean. Just take a circle across the Pacific Ocean. Okay, starting from Canada, Mexico, United States, Chile, Peru. Okay, then again coming back to circle to New Zealand, Australia, Japan, Brunei, Malaysia and Vietnam. This is your part of TPP. All the countries across the Pacific Ocean. Remember that news? Donald Trump has asked United States of America to come out of TPP. Why? Because he was thinking that many of the products from the other countries are being dumped into USA. So if I'm China, I'm manufacturing a lot of steel, I'll dump it into USA at a lower price because I'm manufacturing a lot. This will affect whom? The manufacturing industries, the steel manufacturing industries in USA. So if I'm USA, I have a problem. Okay, so that is the kind of problem that they were facing with this organization. Similar is a problem that India is facing in RCEP. Why is India opting out of such a great trade deal? Like India can get benefited from the trade of Japan, China, yes, but there is a problem. Okay, what is the problem? India is suffering a bilateral trade deficit with 11 of the 15 RCEP countries, which means India is importing a lot from the other countries and exporting very less. So that's why I'm suffering a trade deficit. So that's the first problem that India is facing right now. And the second problem, what USA was also facing, the manufactured goods of India will be vulnerable to domestic producers. So imagine if someone is there in China who can manufacture goods at a very low cost. Say for example, I am a Vivo. I can manufacture Vivo mobile in China at a very low cost. Why? Because the government is not asking me for a tax. When I manufacture it at a low cost, what will I do? I'll sell this at a low cost in India. Now, because of this, the Micromax won't survive. You are selling Vivo at 8,000 and Micromax is coming at 12,000. So no one is going to buy Micromax. So as to protect the Micromax, Indian government will say, okay, Vivo, you don't come to our country. So I am not part of RCEP deal. Okay, just an example to narrate you. If trade becomes easy, imagine China can dump so many products into India. And how much this will hamper the local manufacturers in India. There are counter arguments as well, like the trade deficit is because of the downturn in India's GDP since 2016, and also there has been COVID-19 pandemic. Because of this, again the deficit could have happened. Okay, what are other countries saying? The other countries want India to reconsider this decision of staying out of RCEP. Okay, because they want a power with China as well. So China will be the country which is having the largest population in RCEP. So they want a country who can be challenging to China. So they want India to be the part of RCEP. India's presence would make RCEP a successful organization. Okay, and also they want to have an access to the crowd of India. Imagine if I'm Australia, I have an access to such a big crowd. I can sell so many products there if the tax are not being charged on my product. So other countries also have an eye on the population of India, the growing population, where they can sell a lot of product, provided given the trade benefits. Okay, but what is the conclusion to it? Despite repeated invitation, India has skipped every meeting of RCEP grouping in the past year and reiterated that there would be no rethinking on the decision to stay out of RCEP. So India is firm on its decision to stay out of RCEP, mainly because they want to protect their domestic manufacturers. Okay, so if the other countries dump their products in India, then my local manufacturers, my farmers, my dairy products won't survive. The small sectors won't survive, okay, because they need a particular kind of time frame to boom and export. So that is what India is doing here. So know the current affairs part of it, know the static part of it. Any of this could be part of your exam. News we come across for November is the host of vaccines to fight COVID-19. So as most of us know, company Pfizer and BioNTech have come up with a vaccine to fight COVID-19. So they can ask you which company have come up with the vaccine and what technology are they using for vaccine. So they are using mRNA technology. What is mRNA? That is messenger ribonucleic acid. That is what you call for mRNA. So question could be like, mRNA stands for what? Which of the following four? So know this as well. What does mRNA do? So it specifically is used in the process of protein synthesis. So it helps in protein synthesis. What is mRNA? Messenger ribonucleic acid. And which company is coming up with a vaccine and what technology are they using? Okay, nothing else other than this is important. What is vaccine doing? How is it doing the protein synthesis? How are they making? Nothing else. You are being asked objective questions, so just stick on to that. What else can be asked here is this: which other companies are using this vaccine? So making this vaccine, in India, Covishield by Serum Institute and Covaxin by Bharat Infotech are undergoing trials. So Google some information on them as well, Covishield and Covaxin. What exactly is the progress of this undergoing trials, and expect few objective questions from this section as well. So the next news we come across is China's Change 5 lunar mission to bring back rock samples from the moon. Okay, so current affairs part that you can expect from this set of news is, what is the name of China's mission? Change 5. It's a lunar mission to bring back rock samples from the moon. This mission is being named after the Chinese moon goddess. So just know a little bit of background about it. What is actually this Change 5 mission? It consists of a lander, a lunar orbiter and an ascent probe. So what is actually the plan on this? The lander will go, it will drill the moon surface, scoop out the rocks with the help of its robotic arm. The material will be carried by the ascender vehicle, and from the vehicle it will be carried to the spacecraft. So that's how you have the samples of the moon's surface. That's what this mission is about. What is the static part of this? Well, you can expect something like this. Previous lunar samples were collected by Apollo 11 mission. Just to give you an idea about what is this. So this is the next set of news we come across. India to host G20 summit in 2023. So which of this country will hold the G20 summit in 2023? So it is India. Okay, you can expect such question to be coming in your objective exam. The G20 summit was hosted by Saudi Arabia in 2020. So this year it was hosted by Saudi Arabia. 2021 it will be hosted by Italy. 2022 Indonesia and 2023 India. Later followed by Brazil in 2024. So know all this years about which country is hosting G20 summit in which year. Little bit about the G20 summit that happened in 2020. So what are the kind of current affairs question you can expect from this? What was the topic that was discussed in this summit? So the main focus was on resilient, inclusive and sustainable recovery from COVID-19 crisis, preparedness of the countries in response to the pandemic. So this was the major issue that was discussed in the summit. How is India related to this? Prime Minister Mr. Modi participated in the G20 summit, which was under the theme of realizing opportunities of the 21st century for all. So which of the four was the theme of G20 summit? So know this as well, realizing opportunities of the 21st century for all. The main focus was on empowering people and safeguarding the planet. So know the topic, know in which year it is happening where. A little bit about the past of G20 summit as well. Why was this G20 organization formed? Why the world needed this organization? So the prime reason was the financial crisis that happened in 1997-98. After that, 7 powers in the world, the finance minister of 7 powers in the world came together, 7 emerging market in the world came together, and then they thought of making an organization to achieve economic stability. because economic stability can happen only when all the emerging countries work together. So the finance minister of 7 countries came together to form this organization. It was started by ministers and the central bank governors. So that is how it started, but later on is upgraded to a forum of leaders from major developed and emerging markets. So an organization which started by the finance minister and the central bank officers of various countries, now it is being taken up by the leaders, and that's what is now a G20 summit. It's a organization that is at an international level where various issues related to various domains are being discussed. So know about the 2020 summit, when it happened, what was the topic, and which country is hosting G20 summit in which year, and a little bit of background of what is actually a G20 summit, why was it formed. Next set of news includes RBI to impose moratorium on Lakshmi Vilas Bank. Now what is actually the moratorium and why is RBI imposing this on Lakshmi Vilas Bank? So understand first the current affairs part of it, on which of this bank has RBI imposed moratorium, and moratorium is related to which of the following sector, okay, FMCG industry, banking sector, and that is the kind of question that you can expect. So what is actually this and why is RBI imposing this on Lakshmi Vilas Bank? The Reserve Bank of India recently imposed a moratorium on Lakshmi Vilas Bank of India for a period of 30 days. Why did this happen? Why did the bank was put under the moratorium? The Chennai-based bank has a network of 563 branch. It holds deposit of 20,973 crores. The bank has undergone a steady decline in the last 3 years. It has been experiencing continuous withdrawal of deposits and a very low level of liquidity. The bank failed to raise adequate capital to address its issues. So they are facing a lot of financial issues with respect to their deposits, with respect to their liquidity, and they have failed to address this issue. That's why RBI has to come in picture. What is moratorium? It is a temporary suspension of financial activities until the issue is resolved. So I suspend your financial activities, that is giving money to people or taking money from anywhere. They are being suspended for the period of 30 days, okay, till the issue is being resolved. So know about this news. Anything from this can be picked up and can be part of your question. Next set of news includes microwave weapon. Recently the social media was all about the use of microwave weapons by Chinese army. We know that there is a clash going on at Ladakh, India and China, the Galwan Valley clash where 20 Indian soldiers lost their life. This has reached to consensus in the region of Pangong Lake, Kogra and Hot Spring regions, but China is being alleged to use microwave weapons. So we need to know what are actually microwave weapons. Microwave weapons are direct energy weapons. So they deliver energy in highly focused forms such as laser, sonic and microwaves at the target. To simplify this, let us understand what is actually microwave weapon. So US used it in Afghanistan in 2017. Okay, how dangerous are they? They are very dangerous. Now imagine the working of microwave. Why does the food gets cooked in the microwave oven? Let's understand this. A magnetron produces microwaves. These microwaves bounce around the metal in the interior of the appliance. So a magnetron produces microwave inside the oven. They bounce in the interior metal of the oven. During this process, while they bounce off, the food item absorb the microwaves. Upon the absorption, the water molecule in the food get agitated and produces heat. So the water molecules in the food absorb those waves, they get agitated and the heat is being produced. Now human body is also has 73% of water. Now if I use microwaves on human body, the water in the human body will also get agitated, and that can have a catastrophic damage to human body. They might even evaporate the part that is being attacked. So that is the extent to which you can use this microwave weapons. Okay, so have an idea about this, that China is being alleged to have use of this. That is the news that has been going on in the social media. And what are actually microwave weapons, and a background of it, like any other country used it. Yes, US used it in 2017, again Afghanistan. Okay, just have an idea about this. So next set of news we come across is BRICS countries to adopt counter-terrorism strategy. So first of all, what is BRICS? It is Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. It's an organization.
Why was this organization formed? Is it like a trade organization just like your RCEP and TPP? Well, not really. BRICS is an organization was formed after 2008 subprime crisis, when we realized that the world economy is actually dependent upon World Bank and the banks in US, the banks in Europe. So the world economy is completely dependent on that. That is when these four countries which have major share of population, Brazil, Russia, India and China, they came together and they formed this organization. This organization has its own bank. It's called as New Development Bank. They have their own fund that is called as Contingency Reserve Arrangement. So this Contingency Reserve Arrangement is against the IMF, and this New Development Bank is against the World Bank. So if India or China needs a loan, they will not go to World Bank, they'll go to New Development Bank, which is formed by BRICS. And that is why this BRICS was formed, so that these countries can mutually support each other without being dependent on the IMF or World Bank. Okay, that's why, because if you realized after 2008 crisis, all of them were dependent on World Bank and IMF, because of which it led to crisis, and that's why this organization was formed. Now, why is this part of news? Because on November 17, 2020, during the 12th BRICS summit, the members adopted counter-terrorism strategy. So the members of BRICS are now thinking about countering terrorism. Okay, why? Because majority of the country in this are affected by terrorism. We know India is mostly affected by terrorism, Russia is affected by Chechenian revolution, and so is China to a certain extent. What are the key highlights of this counter-terrorism strategy? Respect sovereignty of participating countries, commit to international laws, recognize coordinating role of United Nations, consider member countries' priorities and national interests. So basically the interest of each other and combating terrorism, protecting the sovereignty of countries and maintaining the peace. Okay, that is what is the goal and the strategy that is being seen here. Not everything is important, just know what is BRICS, why is BRICS in news, and that's it. Okay, nothing else is important from this. You can see many organizations here: UNSC, United Nations Security Council, G20, we already talked about it, Financial Action Task Force. So there will be a separate lecture now which will be only on the international organization, so make sure you look at that. In that we'll cover everything: TPP, then your RCP, BRICS, ASEAN, United Nations and its organ, and all the other international organization. So that will again give you an idea about the static part of organization. Next set of news we come across is from ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. ISRO has successfully launched the Earth Observation Satellite EOS-01. This is ISRO's first mission in 2020 after the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, that's why it is part of the news. What current affairs part you can expect from this? The EOS-1, Earth Observation Satellite 1, was launched with which vehicle? The vehicle name is PSLV C-49, Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. Now, why is this called by this name? We'll cover this in static part of Science and Technology GK, where we'll understand orbits, we'll understand satellite launch vehicle, we'll know everything about how is the science working behind the satellite launch. For the time being, just know that it's an Earth observation satellite. So it has to observe the Earth. It has to click pictures of the Earth. So it has to be close to Earth. That is why it is in the polar orbit. Polar orbit is an orbit which is close to Earth. Then you also have geostationary and geosynchronous orbit that are at an height. So if I need a satellite for television, I will go for a geostationary or a geosynchronous orbit. Why? Because I need a good range. But if I am putting an Earth observation satellite, I want it to be close to Earth. That is why I will put it in a polar orbit. If I am putting it in a polar orbit, the launch vehicle which puts the satellite in the polar orbit is called as the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle. So PSLV C-49. Okay, know which is the launch vehicle for this satellite. The Earth Observation Satellite EOS-1 has been placed in the 575 km orbit. As I said, this is close to Earth. The mission also includes the placing in orbit of 9 other spacecraft. The 9 customer satellites were from United States, Lithuania and Luxembourg. So along with this, 9 other spacecraft also went in this launch vehicle. This is ISRO's first mission in 2020 after the COVID-19 pandemic, as we have seen. As of December 2019, PSLV has launched around 300 plus foreign satellites from 33 countries. Now imagine the extent to which India is using its launch vehicle, not only to put his satellite in the orbit, but also to put other countries' satellite into the orbit. Okay, so this
is something that you can pick from this part of current affairs. Set of news we come across is about Paris Pact. US formally exits Paris Pact on curbing climate change. Okay, so what is actually a Paris Agreement? The Paris Agreement was an agreement which was signed between various countries under United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change. We'll study this organization, an international organization. What is UNFCCC? So this was signed to mitigate or reduce the greenhouse gas emission. So as to protect the environment, this pact was signed. What is something that is the agreement in this pact? The Paris Agreement seeks to keep the global temperature rise well within the goal of 2 degrees Celsius from the pre-industrial level and try and limit it to 1.5 degrees Celsius. So what Paris Agreement is saying is, we will make sure that the world temperature does not rises above 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels, which means we'll make sure that each of the country is given a target. How will we achieve this? How will we make sure that the world temperature does not increases above 2 degrees Celsius? So we will give each of the countries a target that this much only you can emit. If you emit more than this, you are going against the Paris Agreement. So it's only when all the countries have a target, they will emit limited carbon dioxide, limited greenhouse gases, and that will protect the environment. That is according to the Paris Agreement. That is what was agreed here. So far, 188 out of the 197 parties to the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change have ratified the Paris Climate Deal, but the US is no longer a party to it. Now imagine such a big agreement which is helping the environment, and US is saying, I am not part of this. So the US under Mr. Trump has formally exited the UN Paris Agreement on Climate Change. Now why is US doing that? See, when you are curbing the carbon dioxide emission of a country, you are saying the manufacturing industries in that country to produce less. Why? Because if they produce more, they will be emitting more carbon dioxide. I want them to emit less carbon dioxide, less greenhouse gases. So I'm telling the manufacturing industries in USA to produce less. Now this is where they have a problem. Okay, this is against the manufacturing industries in US, and that's where this is creating all the problem. Now what is a positive outlook to it? The new President of United States of America, Joe Biden, could help make the US play a leadership role in fighting against the climate change, because the role of USA is important here. What is the significance of it? The US return to climate action holds immense significance for the world quest to avert the dangerous climate change, as US is the second largest emitter of CO2. So after China, US is the second largest emitter of CO2. And if you can't curb US, if you keep US out of this Paris Agreement, what's the use of the agreement then? Okay, how will you make sure that the world temperature does not rise above 2 degrees Celsius? How do you make sure that if US is not part of it? Okay, so know this. What is Paris Agreement? I can just speak on and on for Paris Agreement. There is a lot to speak on this, which we can cover in some other class of international organization or international pact, where we can cover this. But for the time being, just know under which UNFCCC, what is Paris Pact, why is this in news, and what is happening with it right now. Okay, so just know the news of it. Anything from this could be part of your question. Come to next set of news, which is related to Joe Biden been elected as the President of United States of America. So this is the news of Iran and US. Next, US government must make up for the past mistake. This is what Iran is saying. Now why is Iran saying this? Because of this nuclear treaty between Iran and US. Okay, that was signed with Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action. Know this is a part of Static GK, which was signed by Iran and US in 2015 under the leadership of President Barack Obama. This was signed between Iran and P5 countries plus Germany and EU. What is P5? The permanent members of UNSC. We'll study UNSC in the separate class of international organization, but for the time being, just know United Nations Security Council, okay, which looks after the major decision with respect to security of the world. So UNSC has 5 permanent members: US, China, France, Russia and UK. Along with them and Iran plus Germany and EU, European Union, this treaty was signed, which took out all the restrictions that was put on Iran with respect to its nuclear power project. But then Donald Trump has reinforced all these things and now Iran wants Joe Biden to take out all these things and again look back at Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, which was under the leadership of Barack Obama. Okay, so just know this basic terms. What is a treaty? What is the nuclear deal between Iran and US? Where is it right now? Because they can pick up anything from this and that can be part of your question. Also, if you are talking about Joe Biden, let's talk about H-1B visa. What was H-1B visa? This was the visa which was given to the Indians who are going to US to service the clients. So if I'm working with Accenture or a Patni, I'm an engineer, I go to US, I work there, and when I work there, I tell to the US government that I'm coming there to serve your client, so give me the visa. That was H-1B visa. Okay, but what is the problem here? Donald Trump said that you have to increase the salary of the people that you hire with H-1B visa. So if their salary is $50,000, make it $1 lakh. Okay, that's why the company were not able to keep Indians, because if I hire Indian, I'll have to pay him double because he will come with H-1B visa. That problem needs to be resolved now. So Joe Biden, the US president, is expected to reverse the move of the outgoing Trump administration to revoke work permits to the spouse of H-1B visa, which has adversely impacted a large number of Indian families in US. So the problem of H-1B visa with respect to Indians is something that may get relaxed after the election of Joe Biden. Okay, so know all these things about the US election. Anything from this could be picked up and can be your question. Let's come on to the next set of news, which is about Arunachal Pradesh recording the best sex ratio and Manipur the worst. Okay, who gave this statistics now? So 2018 report on vital statistics of India based on civil registration system has been published by Registrar General of India. So know that Registrar General of India gave this statistics which said that Arunachal has the best sex ratio and Manipur has the worst. What is actually a sex ratio? So that could go now into the static part. Sex ratio is female borns per 1,000 males. Okay, so this is what sex ratio at birth is, the number of females born per 1,000 males. So if there are 1,000 females born per 1,000 males, which means that the sex ratio is 1. Okay, according to the report, Arunachal Pradesh record the best sex ratio in the country, which is 1084 females per 1,000 males. So it is more than 1, the sex ratio. Whereas Nagaland, Mizoram, Kerala, you can check it here, all in the range of 900. The worst being Manipur, which is here as 757. So know what is the sex ratio, which is the best state, which is the worst state, and who is publishing this. Okay, any of this could be part of your GK. Now let's pick up few one-liner news that could be part of your exam. So United Nations launches Team Hello to counter misinformation around COVID-19 vaccines. So which of this is a mission launched by United Nations to counter misinformation around COVID-19 vaccine? That is Team Hello. Okay, Team Hello aims to tackle misinformation on the safety and effectiveness of COVID-19 vaccine. Just know this. It's really important from one-liner GK point of view. Okay, let's take the next GK. Next is about Barack Obama publishes book A Promised Land. So on November 17, 2020, the former president of United States, Barack Obama, published a book called as A Promised Land. What is this book about? The book concludes with the killing of Osama bin Laden in 2011. The former president has mentioned Ramayana and Mahabharata in this book. So that's why it becomes a part of our GK, because a relation of India is being mentioned in that. And also he included his fascination about Mahatma Gandhi. So know the name of the book, the content of the book, and what is the Indian connection to the book. Okay, anything from this could be part of your exam. See this next set of news now. What is Golden Card Visa, which is being issued by UAE? So this visa is for 10 years. UAE is issuing this Golden Card Visa. So Golden Card Visa is associated with which of the 4 countries? That is like the kind of question that you can get. What is this visa about? This visa is being provided for professional, physicians, engineer, PhD holders from certain universities. The visa grants 10 years residency to the holders and their family. Okay, why is UAE doing that? Because UAE is badly hit by COVID-19 pandemic and low oil prices. Thus, the country is introducing visa-related changes to keep the talented minds in the country and use their help in building the nation. Okay, and that's why this golden visa card. So know about this card and which country is issuing this card. So the next set of news we take is from economics, that is WPI, wholesale price index. The inflation, the WPI inflation at 1.48% in October 2020 increased for third consecutive month. So what is WPI? That's wholesale price index. What does it represents? It represents the price of wholesale goods, mainly focuses on trade between the corporation. So what is the inflation? Not for the consumer, which you and me are, but for the wholesaler. That is being represented by wholesale price index. How do they calculate that? Well, there are food articles as well as non-food articles in this. Food article could include paddy, cereals, wheat, vegetables, and non-food articles could include minerals, oils, crude, petroleum, all part of this. So that is the set that I take as a sample space, food and non-food article. I put it in one basket and then I see what for this food and non-food articles, what was the price in 2011-12. So you should know the base year of this. Base year of wholesale price index is 2011-12. So what was the price of all this basket of goods which a wholesaler can buy in 2011-12 as compared to 2020? So that is what you call for a increase. What is a percentage increase in the price of that good? Okay, in the price of that basket of good. That is what you call for WPI. So WPI is for wholesaler. It has food articles as well as non-food articles in it. Who issues this? Ministry of Commerce and Industry. What is the base year for WPI? 2011 and then 12. What does it indicate? Inflationary pressure in the economy. How much is the inflation in the economy with respect to a wholesaler? So that is what we need to know about this. Okay, we'll cover this. What is WPI? What are the different types of inflation in the static part of economics class? Okay, for the time being I'm just giving an idea about what is WPI. And the highest inflation was recorded right in 1974, 34.68. Okay, so you can compare with this to get an idea about what is happening right now. We'll cover this entirely in the static part of economics, so don't worry much about it, but just have an idea what news to pick up from this part of current affairs. Now let's come on to the last set of news from November 2020. So Nitish Kumar is being appointed as the Chief Minister of Bihar, right? We all know that. So what is a part of current affairs that you can know from this? On 16th of November 2020, the President of Janata Dal, so name of the party, was appointed as the Chief Minister of Bihar for the fourth consecutive term. So which of this minister was appointed as the Chief Minister of a state for fourth consecutive term? Nitish Kumar. The Chief Minister is appointed by the Governor. Now you know the dynamic part, the name of the party, the term, the name of the minister, that is a dynamic part. Okay, what is the static part of it now? Chief Minister is appointed by the Governor. So is the Chief Minister appointed or elected? Now why are they asking this static part right now? Because that is a part of current affairs. Okay, so always when you study static GK, derive it from current affairs. So they will not just ask you randomly like Chief Minister is appointed or elected. Why are they asking this question? Because Nitish Kumar becomes the Chief Minister of Bihar. That is in current affairs. From there they derive this question. So Chief Ministers and Prime Ministers are appointed by the Governor and President respectively. On the other hand, members of the Legislative Assembly and members of the Parliament are elected by us, the people. So know this, who are elected, who are appointed. Now what is the power of a Chief Minister with respect to Governor? Chief Minister advises the Governor on the appointment of State Public Service Commission. So I think all of you know this. Chief Minister is appointed by the Governor, but the Chief Minister can ask the Governor for the appointment of State Public Service Commission, for the dissolution of Legislative Assembly, and so on. Okay, when the Chief Minister resigns, the Cabinet Minister have to resign compulsorily. So imagine if the Prime Minister of the country, Mr. Modi, resigns, the Cabinet Minister resign automatically, and the same thing is being applied at the state level as well. Okay, so that is what is being given here. So Chief Minister appointed by Governor, Prime Minister appointed by the President, but after the election, so after the State Legislative Assembly election, a coalition group that secures majority in the House elects the leader. So it is always the party, but the party tells the Governor or the party tells the President with the appointment of a Chief Minister or a
Prime Minister. Okay, this is conveyed to Governor and he appoints him as a CM. The same thing happened at a national level, which is being conveyed to the President and he appoints the PM. So know this thing, how the static GK can be derived from the current affairs of Nitish Kumar being appointed as the Chief Minister of Bihar. Okay, so this is what completes the current affairs of November. In the next class, we'll go to the current affairs of October, then to September, and then so on till the last 7 to 8 months. Okay, and we'll make sure that any of the exam that we are writing, which is IFT, which is say your TIS or mainly your CMAT, we are prepared for the current affairs as well as the static part of it. Okay, so be tuned to the rest of the videos and have fun learning with it.